What's up, guys? My name is Jake from Bright Sun Films, and you're listening to the Good Morning Guys podcast.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Good morning, my brothers and sisters. On this, our 105th episode of the Good Morning Guys podcast, thank you so much for joining us on this fine morning, afternoon, evening, or night, as we discuss the game of life amidst the other games we love to watch and play. I am one of your hosts, the Brazilian Mountaineer and Transition Ninja, Lucas Ham Swisher. Also with me, our second member of the GMG Quadfecta. He's got music in his heart, Doctor Who on his brain, and La Coretta in his old stomacho, the master switch flipper, Marc Boucher.
Guess who's back?
Yeah.
Back again. Boucher's back. Tell a friend.
Beautiful. I tell you what, man, it is so weird to say your name, introduce you right after me.
Yeah, I'm typically
usually
last in the lineup.
Yeah. Speaking of who's usually after me, Patrick and Ronnie are not with us tonight. Apparently, Pat got sick from eating too much Long John Silver's, and Ronnie had a kayaking accident because he sucks at it. That's not true. Just kidding. They are both enjoying some Labor Day fun with family and friends, and they just could not escape. But no worries. They will definitely be returning next week. But let's introduce our third member of the trifecta tonight. On Mark's left and my right, he's a very special guest from the Great White North of Ontario, Canada, who is the creator and host of Bright Sun Films, working hard to preserve the memory of the U.S.'s greatest tragedies and failures, a genuine urban explorer, spelunker, and roof and tunnel hacker, Jake Williams. Welcome, my brother.
Everyone.
How are you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing very good. Thankfully not in a tunnel or hacking any other abandoned buildings.
That's good. It would make things very noisy. I already have occasionally, I'm pretty sure every podcast I have a dog bark or a security car drive by and make siren noises. So the tunnel hacking would be very loud.
We'll try not to have that this time.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good call. We appreciate that consideration. Though it would have made for really cool podcasting if we could have interviewed you and hung out while you were in the midst
inside
of
an
doing
abandoned
it.
building.
Exactly. That would have been awesome.
Episode 2, man.
Yeah, that'll have to be the sequel when you special guest again. We'll have to arrange that. All right. As always, before we jump into what's new news and where we chatted up on our personal and gaming lives, and before we get to know Jake a little more and that Urban X life, let's get into a little housekeeping where we offer towels, put mints on pillows, and tip you off to the things you need to know. If at any point during this podcast you're entertained, inspired, or just feel like spreading some love, could you please pause? Get on you or your friends, your family members, maybe even some random strangers if you're feeling crazy. Get on their device, rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, and Stitcher. As every podcaster and their brother, sister, cousin will tell you, it helps us reach a new audience. I don't even know how it works, but it's some kind of algorithm they got going. Also, while we are happy you are hanging out with us today, listening and joining us, we do prefer you go beyond listening. So please join us on Discord, which is a cross between a forum, Twitter, and Facebook all mashed together. But it's much more personal and much less volatile. It's a great way to connect with us, with our joiners. So please check it out. There's a link in the show notes or also on our Twitter page at the GMG Podcast to join in on the fun and conversation. And then finally, the last thing I just wanted to share, a friendly reminder that we do also have a 10 to 15 minute inspirational devotional partner podcast called Good Morning God, where I seek to challenge those who listen to be more positive, intentional, relational in their journey as we journey through life together. Our first few episodes were on the Good Morning Guys podcast feed, but now it's spread its wings to our own channel and feed. So please find it on the podcast platform of your choice. It's working on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcast, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, which I found out this week. There are people who use it. I think I said last week there were 5 people.
I've never heard of that.
I hadn't either. But in Portugal, Rafa, he uses it. So,
nice.
And I'm sure
good on you, Rafa.
I'm sure there's got to be 5 more people. It's probably more than I can even imagine. But there are lots of different ways to listen to podcasts, and we're on quite a number of them. But again, look for Good Morning, God, and you should find it. There's also a link in the show notes Also, you can find me on Twitter, find the podcast on Twitter at the GM God Pod. So throw out a follow. And honestly, while I do talk about God, share portions of the Bible, I truly want those of all faiths or a lack thereof to feel welcome. Even if you don't connect with the spiritual aspects, I do try to share entertaining life stories, even anecdotes from my favorite films and video games, that kind of stuff along the way. So it would be a pleasure for you to join me at least one morning a week. So, alrighty then. I think that is all for housekeeping. So let's get on to what is new with you two and myself as the guest. Jake, why don't you share first so people can get to know you a little more, maybe in the non-work related side of your life, as we like to make it all personal here at the Good Morning Guys.
I don't know. In the age of COVID, is there such a thing as not working all day now? Because really, what else? What do we do?
You give a fair point there. That is so true.
We hibernate.
Pretty much.
Take lots of
Winter's
naps
here in Canada.
at 11 o'clock at night, right, Mark?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Those 11 o'clock naps are awesome.
This is a bit of a jab. Don't appreciate that, but okay.
It's all in fun. So, Jake.
No, but I've been just working. That's just about it. There's,
wow. All right.
Not many interesting things happen in my life, as it turns out. What about you guys?
Well, do you have a 9-to-5 job in addition to the YouTube channel, or is that your main deal?
Yeah, YouTube channel is the main career right now.
Sweet.
So it's full force on that.
Nice.
So you really eat, sleep, and work, and that's it? You don't do anything else?
Yeah,
don't have little hobbies?
This week at least, that's about it. Yeah.
All right, fair enough. So it's been lots of work, lots of hard work. Okay. So we know you live in Canada. Have you lived in the same, like, Ontario, that area, your whole life? Born and raised?
Yeah, so I grew up in Niagara Falls, actually, or just outside of it. But yeah, I live in the town of Hamilton, Ontario, and it's a nice, quaint little city. I'm quite happy here. It's a good place to live, especially right now in the world.
Nice.
Hey, I love Canada. I've been there a few times. I've gone to Toronto. Of course, I've done the typical American thing of going to Niagara Falls.
Yep.
I mean, the Canada side is way better than the American side.
Agreed.
Have to agree.
No comparison. So
a little biased on that, but have to agree.
Yeah, you are, but rightly so. It's good. It's good stuff. And I also, back in the day, learned your national anthem because I lost a bet. And I had to learn to sing it because I lost a bet against a Canadian.
Can you do it now?
And they really took it to me. I know how nice
can you still do it?
Yeah.
Do it now.
And I still remember a lot of it. So
do it now.
It's good stuff. What?
Do it now.
Right now?
Right now. Do it now.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true pilgrims love, at all thy sons' command. With lonely hearts we see thee rise, the true born, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we do something with our hearts for thee.
Do something.
All right, maybe I don't remember all of it.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm terrible with lyrics,
a few things
honestly.
off on that, but you got the core right, which is good.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. I really need to... if we would have had the Olympics this year, I would have been practiced up, but missed out.
Yeah.
So, since you only all work and no play, thinking about the past, just to get you to know you a little more on the personal side, do you have a favorite video game?
Favorite video game?
Because we talk a lot about video games, so...
I'm right there with you. My channel used to be a gaming
I was
channel.
going to say,
so
weren't you called Bright Sun Gaming at first?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way back in the day.
All right.
I think my favorite video game of all time, truthfully, is either Halo 3 or Halo Reach. Those are two classics for me. But right now, actually, just before I got on this podcast, I was playing Rainbow Six Siege, which is the only other Xbox One game that I play. So it's not much of a variety of video games, but it's the core ones that I love.
Hey,
nice.
At least you're getting your money's worth out of it, and you're playing what you love. For me, like I constantly play Apex Legends. Like I have played the mess out of that game over the past year.
I know lots of people who love that game.
Yeah. Yeah, myself and Patrick, another one of the guys on our show, we play all the time for sure. So it's okay to play what you love.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And I think Halo 3 and Halo Reach, those were actually the last two Xbox games that I loved. So I'm right with you there. You picked
coincidentally, they were more than 10 years ago too. So.
Yes, they were, but still, some of our favorite games come from many years ago. They're the classics.
Hey, my favorite game is like a 25-year-old game. So.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep, that is true. Do you want to tell him what it is? Or do you want him to guess?
Not really. Not at all.
He should guess. Jake, what do you think it is? 25 years ago.
25 years ago. It's not Pong.
Nope. Not that old.
That's a little further back.
That's a bit further back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking 70s, I guess, on that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
25 years ago. What was 25 years ago? I'm assuming it was PC, right?
So actually it's a little younger than 25. It's 23 years ago? Yeah.
Nintendo?
Yep.
Is it a Mario Kart game?
It is not. But you're
Super Smash.
No, but you're on the right
It's
track
not a
in
Mario
Nintendo.
game, though.
No, not a Mario game.
All right, I'll be honest. I don't have that much of knowledge behind Nintendo video games, so I'm taking shots in the dark here.
It's Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. That is my favorite.
Forgot about Zelda.
Yeah.
A lot of people like that game. A lot of people like that franchise.
You just broke Mark's heart.
It's okay.
He died on the inside.
It's okay. I take little chips off every day.
It's all good, man.
You'll loathe me by the end of this podcast.
You'll loathe me.
Well, I don't think I'm watching this channel again.
All right, well, I'm done. Moving on.
Unsubscribed.
How about a favorite TV show, Jake? What have you liked to watch in the past?
My girlfriend and I are actually binging it right now, every single night. That would be HBO's The Newsroom.
Oh,
a little-known show that aired for 3 seasons, but it's fantastic. I really love that show.
Jeff Daniels, right?
Jeff Daniels,
Yeah.
that's right.
Nice.
Good show.
I have not watched it. I've seen clips of it, but I've heard it is good.
Yeah, it's a Sorkin show. Aaron Sorkin wrote it. So
Yeah.
it's definitely in that style of like The Social Network and A Few Good Men and all those other movies that he's made. It's didn't get great reviews when it came out, and people still sort of hate it, but I don't know why. I think it's fantastic. But
hey,
that's just me.
Nice.
Again, you love what you love.
Yep.
Love what you love.
All right. The last question we're going to ask, just to get to know you personally.
Yes.
Favorite movie?
I'm going to stay in the Aaron Sorkin era and say The Social Network. Not a very common pick, but Social Network. Love that film.
Okay.
Love what you love.
It's a good flick. I have seen that, so that's good stuff.
Yeah,
for sure.
I really like well-written, snappy dialogue in films. It's one of my, guilty pleasures. Although I don't know if I'd even call that guilty. It's just a pleasure.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no guilt in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2 out of the 3 things you mentioned, though, you did mention that you've been watching them recently or participating in them. So when you say you only work this week, so now we also know you're a liar.
So when I go to bed every night, after my nightly shower, I go to bed, and my girlfriend and I watch The Newsroom.
Hey, that still counts.
First it was Downton Abbey for 6 seasons.
Oh, gosh, you really did that?
The Newsroom. I live a miserable life now, guys. I want to go out and explore stuff.
No, you got to tell me, though, Downton Abbey, is it really that good?
I wasn't into it for the first 3 seasons, but I
3
pressed
seasons?
on. Yes, for the first 3 seasons. I wasn't
How many
very
times
into
did you
but...
fall asleep during an episode?
Yeah, every once in a while. It's different than what I like, but it got to the point where I started to care about the characters, and it was to a point where we're on season 5 now. I'm like, okay, well, I'm excited for the next episode coming up. So it's a very much a slow crawl, but I guess once you get to the end, there's a bit of a reward.
Because I mean, it's like they want you to like worry about someone's garden, or
that's pretty much it. Yeah, there's a new servant in the downstairs, and there's drama.
Yeah,
pretty much it.
I ask about that because my grandma has mentioned multiple times when we've talked to her over Skype that she wants to send us all her seasons of Downton Abbey, and I'm like, really? It's pretty expensive to mail to Brazil. I don't know if you want to do that.
I like how the one person that recommends it to you is your grandma.
Right.
While
Makes you feel better, right?
21-year-old young man is watching it nightly after working. It
says something about it. So
it's a life that I live right now.
You're just an old soul, Jake. It's okay.
That's right. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I'll keep telling myself that nightly.
All right, we'll let you off the hook for that. I think it's a good thing that you did to watch it with your girlfriend, and
I indulged her nightly on it. So
take one for the team.
And that's exactly what I've been.
That proves your love. It demonstrates it. So that's good. All right, Mark, how about you, buddy? What's been going on?
Oh, some things.
Yeah, you have 2 weeks to catch up on. Should I go first so I can move out of the way?
I mean, if you want. It's totally
I really don't have a whole lot, and so why don't I really want to give you the floor, because I know that you're really, even though you're going to share your update, you really just want to interview Jake and just pick his brain and just, I'll get out the popcorn and I'll just interject a random joke or something to
Mark,
to
I hope you're happy with us talking about my Downton Abbey nightly schedule. I hope this is all your dreams come true.
The bar has been set. Let's put it that way.
We now have the title of the podcast, Downton Abbey, episode 105. The Downton Abbey spoiler cast.
Jake Williams' disappointing podcast.
Oh no, don't say that. It's still too early to tell.
Fast forward through the first half hour.
All right, so my week was actually pretty normal. It was nothing crazy. I had a variety of things. Like Jake already mentioned, working from home, just like everybody else. I do have a wife and kids to throw into the mix, so sometimes I'm working, sometimes I'm not working at all, because my lovely family is with me, and I can't do it. I'm not one of those multitasker kind of people. But this week was pretty good. This last week, I've been trying to follow a schedule because I'm easily distracted. I'm kind of like the dog Doug in Up that sees the squirrel and is immediately the squirrel. Hi, I'm Doug. So it was pretty good. I did have one thing that happened funny that was kind of work related this past week. Every week we have a leadership Bible study with some Brazilians in our church. It's all in Portuguese. And this week, one of the pastors who usually leads it said, "Hey, Lucas, can you lead for me?" And I'm like, I guess I'll try. And so I led the study, and we were talking about a book, and it's nothing really complicated. I don't have to teach anything per se. Pretty much we all read a chapter of the book, and then we talk about it. And so you just kind of open up the floor. I try to give some commentary, some feedback, and be a good, responsible pastor and add my 2 cents. But for the most part, it's like it's a mutual thing. And so we had the time together, but at one point, one guy who joined the meeting late, he all of a sudden, you could see his screen start to move forward and his forehead started to go down. He was falling asleep in the middle of the Zoom call. Falling asleep. And it was hilarious. And it was so hard to control myself to not, actually, I did end up laughing because he was doing this thing where his face was in the shot, and then all of a sudden you'd see his eyes close, and then his head tipped forward, and the phone would move forward, and all of a sudden you were looking at the ceiling. And most people kept a straight face, and I don't understand how they did it. But another guy and I, we just started chatting back and forth, and eventually I just had to be like, "Hey, I'll change his name just to protect his identity. Hey, Frank, do you need some coffee?" Is pretty much what I asked him, and he said, "Hey, I'm really sorry, Pastor. I had a long day at work, and And so he sat up, and he paid attention. He was fine the rest of the night, but it was just like, for me, I was like, the one night I'm in charge, a guy falls asleep.
Were you really that boring?
Apparently.
It makes you feel real good about yourself.
Yeah, it does. It's like, wow, I'm glad. Actually, someone else it was another guy talking who has the tendency to go on and on. And so when he was falling asleep, I tried to be like really like animated and be like, "Yeah, guys, that's what, Jesus said this," and like just really be animated, and it didn't work. He still was falling asleep. It was crazy. So, you'll have that. Yep. On the gaming front, I have just totally hit the brakes on Ghost of Tsushima and Dead Cells, which are the 2 games that I had been playing pretty regularly. Trying to wrap up that Ghost of Tsushima. I'm in the final act, and just kind of wanting to wrap things up. But unfortunately, I ran into this little known game called Marvel Avengers. Just came out this past week, and I am loving it. It has brought any other gaming to a halt. I'm not playing Ghost of Tsushima. I'm not playing Dead Cells. I'm not playing Fall Guys. Sorry, Mark. Really want to get you that win.
You don't have to apologize to me.
I know, but I really wanted to get you that win, man. Jake, just to catch you up, have you played or heard of Fall Guys?
I've heard of Fall Guys. My friend is very much trying to get me into it, but I have still really no idea what it is.
It looks like a baby game, and that it should be really easy, but it's really hard. And so some people are really good at it, like one of our co-hosts, Patrick. But then there's Mark and I, where we're just like, no, not so much. And so we fail a lot. I did have one lucky night where I got like 3 wins. It's like a battle royale mixed with Wipeout, like the game show where you just pretty much try to survive through these like obstacle courses and stuff. But we have not been able to help Mark get a win, and really wanted to get him a win. But I don't see myself going back to it anytime soon, because Marvel Ultimate Alliance is just Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Marvel's Avengers, I mention Marvel Ultimate Alliance because it's really a mixture of that and Division mixed together, like the RPG elements, the playing as different characters, playing with your friends. It's got an excellent story. I've loved it because the story itself, the campaign, is very much like a Spider-Man. I get very much a Spider-Man on PS4 kind of feel. Like it could be in the same universe or the same world. And I don't know if, Mark, if you've had that same feeling in playing it. Have you played much of the campaign besides the multiplayer from before with us?
Oh, goodness. So, no. No, I have not.
No?
I have the only amount of time I've spent on playing Avengers is what I played with you guys. I have not played it at all. I'm sure I will work up to playing it again. I don't know. I just haven't been that interested, which is sad because I spent $60 on it. So
that is a bummer.
But no, I'm sure I'll jump back into it and start the campaign, because what I played at the beta was actually I enjoyed it. I don't know how much I like the RPG elements of it. That's just not really my thing. So, but we'll see. But yeah, pretty much pretty much nothing.
It's interesting that some of the RPG elements they give you like, I don't know, almost like hot buttons. Like, for example, how you can change up your gear. You can just press a button to automatically apply the strongest gear.
Yeah, and that's what I've done.
Yeah, and that's perfect for you. And I wish they had like an auto level option. That would kind of help too, because I find the skill tree can be kind of overwhelming at first. And so really you just kind of have to eeny, meeny, miny, mo. But for the most part, if you play it on easy, I think the story is really worth checking out and playing through in the very least. And hopefully playing with us. I don't know how much you enjoyed playing with us the other night. I know that there were some things we were complaining about, like not having a ping system and just being like, I'm over here. And it's like, what does over here mean? And so we were having trouble kind of coordinating our efforts where we were going and stuff.
Yeah, it's just in those missions that we were doing, like it always just seemed like I was getting lost and I couldn't seem to find you guys. But I mean, overall, I had fun playing for sure, but I just don't know how much I would play it on my own other than the campaign. But we'll see. I definitely want to give it a shot, give it a fair chance. Especially, again, I paid full price for it.
Yeah,
so,
you want to give it that old college try for sure.
Yep.
And it's had mixed reviews, I believe. I know a lot of people have had glitches that have happened with it, where they've had to delete their saves, had to restart the game, all kinds of crazy stuff.
Lem,
knock on wood, I have not.
Oh, good. Yeah, Lem, our buddy Lem, he was like on one of the very last missions, and he's like, he can't go any farther.
Yeah, and he had to. I think he had to start over, right?
Something like that. I can't remember, but yeah, he was like appealing to the Twitter account. It was like, please fix this.
Yes. Jake, you a superhero fan, comic fan, that kind of stuff? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed the Marvel films.
All right.
I haven't really ever played any of the video games though. I heard mixed things about the new Avengers game though.
Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely mixed. Hopefully they'll get some of the glitches worked out and that kind of jazz. But it really helps when you have friends who are playing, and so you're just talking together. Like, who are you mainlining? Who are you playing as the most? And and so you just compare the notes and stuff, and it makes it a little funner, as the second graders say. All right. Well, that's all I have for the update. It's been Marvel's Avengers and people falling asleep during church meetings. So what do you got, Mark? What has been going on with you, belated birthday boy?
Yeah, so obviously August the 29th was my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So obviously I got together with some family, both sides of my family. My side for lunch, and my wife's side for dinner, and got to spend time with them, which was awesome. Also got to do our birthday party stream that night on my birthday, which was a lot of fun. Streamed on our YouTube channel. Got to play some Fall Guys and some Apex. Unfortunately did not get that win on Fall Guys. I got so close so many times, but these stupid fluke things end up happening to where I just lose it, and it's so frustrating to me. And friends are now moving on from Fall Guys. Like Patrick, he's not into it at all anymore, because I mean, obviously dude has, I kid you not, probably like 30 or 40 wins.
He's got more than that. I'd double
something like that.
He got the platinum in the game, which is pretty much, he did everything you could do in the game, Jake, and he did it all by himself. Like, yeah, he was a natural. He picked it up real fast.
But I mean, I had a lot of fun doing it, but just still could not get away with that win. However, we did get a couple wins in Apex, which was a great time.
That's your bread and butter anyways, so that feels better.
Sweet spot. For sure. Birthday stream was a lot of fun. I know Matt, Arctic M77, or Arctic Warlocks, whatever. I know Lucas, Pat, you guys were there. I know Isaac from the Infinities Bros was there. My buddy Aaron was there. And I'm sure I think Ryan Straube was there at one point. Yeah,
he popped in.
Yep. And I'm sure there are others that it was 2 weeks ago, so I can't remember. But thanks a lot for joining in on my birthday. Obviously, with COVID going on, that's the closest thing that I can have with my friends getting together and all that. So it was definitely a great time for sure. That following Wednesday, my wife and I celebrated our 3-year anniversary.
Congratulations.
So that was pretty awesome. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to do anything special for it yet because we were kind of working that night. But it's going to happen at some point. We'll probably go out to dinner or something on our own. I don't know. In Virginia, where I live, Jake, there's certainly COVID cases here, but in my neck of the woods, it's here, but it's not like as prevalent. Obviously, we have to social distance and wear masks and things like that, but we're not like a hot spot. So restaurants and stuff are open around here, but obviously they're doing social distancing rules and all that kind of stuff. So
that's pretty much how Canada is. It's very much in that. I think we're in phase 4 going on now. So we're at a later stage in the whole life cycle of this thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Good.
And very, very chill Labor Day. Just kind of hung out at the house. Had some food. Had some burgers, which you gotta have some quality American food on Labor Day, I guess. But on the gaming front, I've been very, very dry in terms of I've played some Avengers. I played some Fall Guys. I've played obviously Apex the most, but I'm looking to jump back into Avengers this week, and also I really want to finish Ghost of Tsushima, because I am still technically in Act 2 of that.
Get to it.
Yeah, I have not gotten to the final act yet, but I definitely want to hit that. Also, I did something that I never thought I would do. For the past probably 8 or 9 years, I have been strictly Team iPhone. I've been very much an Apple person. I just love the aesthetic. I love the UI of all their products. And I've had a much better time on Apple products. But recent things have come to light that have caused me to shift my focus from my love of Apple. I say that as I'm currently using a MacBook Air. But anyway, just the way that, you know, the situation with Xbox and their xCloud, and the fact that, you know, they basically denied xCloud. Apple denied xCloud on iOS because of you know, the fact that they basically would have to review every single game that would be put on their xCloud and the Game Pass system and all that. So it's not coming to iOS. So I was kind of annoyed with that. Now, the whole Fortnite thing, that's a whole other complicated issue with Epic Games. But just some little things like that kind of turned me off a little bit to Apple. And I just decided I kind of wanted to change. So I bought a Galaxy S20 Plus.
Wow.
Yeah, the other day. So I am officially Team Android now, which I never thought I would do. But yeah, here we are.
You have betrayed us.
Switching sides.
Mm-hmm.
How dare you, sir? I tell you
Dark
what,
side.
you have you surprised all of us, including yourself.
Yep.
When you jumped ship, and then we were like, "Hey, so what are we doing in our groups?" And you're like, "Oh, I forgot about that." I'm like, "Wow, thanks, Mark."
Yeah.
Appreciate the
So
love.
inside baseball stuff. So
Throwing it out there.
So Lucas, being in Brazil, you know, it's kind of different in terms of, you know, cell phone service. I can't just in America text him over in Brazil.
Yeah,
So,
take some money and some
Yep.
complicated phone plan changes to text internationally.
So the way we've been able to communicate is through iMessage, because we all have iPhones. Yeah, and I kind of ruined that.
It's all good.
You'll leave the Apple ecosystem, then you're gonna
Yep.
you
You
lose
abandon it.
those blue bubbles.
Yep.
You got to pay the price. But no,
Yep.
it's okay. It's so I can get them to join the dark side. It's going to work out. I'm making them join WhatsApp.
Yep.
Yep.
My
I've used
plan's
WhatsApp
coming
before,
to
so.
fruition.
But yeah, I mean that's been pretty much everything on my end. Just enjoying the close to Labor Day, and not laboring.
So,
but yeah,
would you
that's pretty-
say
What's that?
would you say you've abandoned iPhone?
Ooh.
He is the transition ninja. Just gonna say. Yeah, I would say I have abandoned iPhone.
Because they failed you.
Got to do an episode on it now.
Yep.
Yep. That's what it sounds like.
Speaking of abandoned,
Mm.
Good segue.
seeing as I just remembered, I'm the host at this point.
Yep. Inside baseball.
Yep. Speaking of abandoned, that's kind of sort of what our topic is, because we're going to be talking with Jake about Bright Sun Films. Yes, that is right. We are talking with Jake Williams of Bright Sun Films. That is his company, his YouTube channel, which you can easily search out. I can tell you, Jake, that I have been a fan since probably early days of your Abandoned series. Basically, I was searching out, I think it was the Nickelodeon Studios,
Ha.
and
Yes.
because I know
Classic Calamity that I made
Yes.
back in 2015.
something like that. But I started searching that out because I think I don't know if you're familiar with Adam the Woo. I think you've used
Oh, yeah.
some of his stuff.
Love Adam.
But yeah, he did a Nickelodeon Studios thing where he actually like broke into the studio and
Yeah.
and was like like that. It was long after because I think they closed in like 2005 or something like that.
Yeah.
And he broke in, and they still had all the old AV equipment in there, and all the like the murals on the walls and
murals,
things
right.
like that. And so that kind of led me down a rabbit hole, which led to your YouTube channel. And so that kind of started it all for me. So Jake, tell us a little bit about the idea of your YouTube channel. Like what is Bright Sun Films all about for those who don't know?
Yeah, I mean, Bright Sun Films was always supposed to be a sort of a reflection of my personality and my interests and all that. So that's why when you go on my channel, there's not necessarily... I mean, there is one theme, sort of. It's, you know, you have the main show abandoned and then bankrupt and then canceled and whatever else. But I also do a bunch of other stuff that I just find interesting, from ship disasters and, you know, abandoned malls somewhere in the country, and every once in a while I'll go do my own thing and actually explore the place themselves. So it's a sort of a wide range of content that sort of just derives from my weird obsessions over things you wouldn't necessarily expect someone like me to be interested in. But yeah, no, I mean, it's something that I think a lot of other people share interest in. You know, you never really think about like the sinking of the Costa Concordia, but until you know, someone actually lays the story out and explains it to you, unlike media outlets at the time, it's interesting. It's that stuff's very fascinating. So I'm glad I'm sort of like the lightning rod for content that's kind of like that. I think yeah, I'd say that's like the aggregate of my entire channel.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the appeal of, like, you know, obviously, you know, a lot of what your videos are on are basically abandoned things of the
Yeah.
past.
Right.
You know, businesses that have gone bankrupt, things that have been canceled, things that have been, you know, lost to time for whatever reason. What do you think of the appeal is of that, to where, for one thing, you've got over 900,000 followers on YouTube now. Congratulations for that.
Thank you.
So what do you think the appeal is of that?
For the abandoned stuff specifically, I think, just like I have done in the past, I think everyone sort of has this weird, kind of morbid curiosity about failure especially in the United States, because whenever you drive by this large hotel or large mall sitting on the side of the road that's run down or it's completely abandoned, you ask yourself, you know, how did that happen?
Yeah.
How much money was, you know, dumped and lost in this whole disaster that's unfolded in my small town? It's like, there's always a story behind these places, and they're always sort of forgotten in the large scale or the large scheme of things across the country. You know, you don't ever really think about the history behind your local mall that was closed down and torn down or whatever. So it's interesting, especially for people who live in those areas. Like, we did a video on what was it called? The Treasure Cay, I think it was called, in the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
It was a cruise ship stop for Premier Cruise Lines, a long forgotten cruise line. But that island, it was just this abandoned tropical resort that was being serviced as a destination for this cruise line. But no one knew about it. I mean, there were videos and pictures online of it claiming to be by Disney and all that, but the real story behind it was so much more interesting, but it was sort of just lost as this like urban legend for decades. So I think when we finally took it over and like actually analyzed how this story came to be, it's fascinating. Otherwise, it would have sort of been lost to time, and I think that's like the true interest and the true draw for all of this. It's like I'm telling stories that otherwise would be sort of forgotten in the large scheme of everything else that's going on in this country.
Yeah, I think you touched on what I think is the big point is the one thing is the art of the story.
Yeah.
You know, can you tell this compelling story about the history of these things? And the other thing, which I think grabbed me, is some of the nostalgia factor.
That's another huge thing that I didn't even touch upon. The nostalgia factor is enormous, especially for, shopping and theme parks and all that. People, even like schools, like I did an abandoned school in Detroit, and everyone had gone to, well, obviously everyone went to school, so everyone sort of has this somewhat emotional connection to the place. And then when you see it abandoned and destroyed and, graffiti on the walls, it's like, it's such a surreal sight to see. It's so bizarre to see something that you recognize and have somewhat of a connection with in such a decayed and destroyed state. It's fascinating.
Sure. Absolutely. Just want to root back to, we actually reached out for some questions from our joiners. We call our listeners joiners here on the show. And first off, I wanted to pull up Ryan Straube over on our Discord. And I think I know a little bit of this answer, but I figured I'd ask this anyway. Sure. So how do you go about, because I know you do some urbex as well, some urban exploration, yes. In addition to that on your own, as well with other friends and other explorers. How do you go about finding those spaces? And he says, who do you contact to allow him to basically get permission to film in those locations?
I'll touch on the getting permission first.
Sure.
Sometimes we do that. Most of the time, the owners of these locations are dead, or they're long gone in a chain of corporate mess, and they're in litigation and all that. It's an absolute mess, and that's
sure.
why really most of these places are still abandoned today, is because they're in lawsuits and limbo and all that nonsense. So usually it's just not going to happen that way.
Yeah.
But the way we find them, usually I'm scanning every once in a while, brand new closures, and there's going to be a lot this year. But, really, I'll just go through Google Maps, go up and down maps in certain areas that I'm pretty keen on visiting, and what do you know? There's this uncut grass in this abandoned hotel. I wonder what that's all about. So, we'll go on Google Street View and sort of analyze the whole place, and yeah, you'll put the pieces together pretty quickly on whether or not it's an interesting location. So, yeah, it's an arduous task.
Yeah,
definitely.
It sounds like it. You sound a little bit like a digital archaeologist, combing through each block and street, and that's pretty cool. And for me, I am a fresh fan of Bright Sun Films and what you do. I just started watching today, and it was very interesting. I did like a crash course in all the things you're doing in abandoned, and I'll tell you one thing that grabbed me in watching today was your Jurassic Park
I knew it.
Video.
I knew you were gonna love that.
And
I'm glad someone
I was just
watched
like,
it.
huh?
That video's been doing terrible in views.
I don't know why. I love Jurassic Park. So to me, it's like I saw some of the pictures of like the half man, half dinosaur, and like some of that. I was like fascinated. I was like glued in. Yeah, it was totally insane. And
well, I appreciate that. That lifts my spirits on that video a little bit.
Yeah, once I get to really sit, I also was contending with family and also other things going on at the same time, so I didn't get to watch all of it. But I'm gonna go back, watch it all. I will definitely be pushing it on the social and try to get your numbers up on that one. But
I appreciate that.
I really just like the idea of not forgetting our failures, not forgetting, whether it's a failure, a tragedy. We have this tendency in our culture now to just breeze by stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The big name people, the sometimes it feels like a lottery, like who is going to stick in the media. But for the most part, most common man, it's a wind. It's like 10 seconds and it's passed, and people have moved on, whether it's in news, social media, etc. So I appreciate what you're doing. You're preserving failure and tragedy because that's what we learn from. That's how we get better in life in general.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And it definitely puts a fine point on a lot of the issues that are going on in this society today. It's we are a very wasteful people. We are very okay with leaving perfectly fine structures for whatever reason just sitting there abandoned. It's interesting to see, and it's pretty staggering how much money is just wasted so very often.
Well, yeah, I often wonder, like, it probably is more money to destroy the thing than it is to...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, the location behind me.
Yep.
I mean, in the film, we explore, truly what a disaster this theme park had become. I'm referring to Six Flags in New Orleans. And yeah, I mean, the theme park has been sitting abandoned since Hurricane Katrina, and it's estimated that it'll cost over $20 million to demolish it. So,
wow,
of taxpayer money, mind you. So it's
that's crazy.
It's quite a thing.
Now, I watched the trailer for the first time to that, and let me tell you, I was as a fan of amusement parks. I love amusement parks. It broke my heart to hear just the little bit of the stories that you tell in the trailer. Yeah. And what can you tell us about that movie? I think it's not been released yet because of COVID and things. It was delayed. Is that?
Yeah. We'll be in some festivals this year. We actually just signed a deal with a sales company, so announcements are coming soon.
Sweet.
But it's the film was like a huge passion project of mine. I've always wanted to make something that's slightly higher caliber than my YouTube stuff, and so I figured, hey, why don't we just make a feature film at a place that I've always been interested in, and tell the story in a more cinematic and professional way. And Closed for Storm was born. So we actually went out to the abandoned theme park in New Orleans, and it was quite a surreal experience standing inside an abandoned Six Flags theme park in America. It was quite something. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like even with the urbex that you do on your channel, and watching other urban just the eeriness of just seeing something destroyed and frozen in time, especially something involved in such a heavy event such as Hurricane Katrina. That's insane. I've watched. You did an actual YouTube video on Six Flags New Orleans before you did this movie. Yeah.
A video that's very unlisted on YouTube.
Way back in the archives.
Yes. I'm fine if that's lost to history. Let's be clear.
Okay.
You got to start somewhere.
The YouTube archives.
Yeah. Now, going back to how you find locations and things like that, you actually, do you meet up with other urbex people and people whose interests are kind of like yourself to find places?
I'm good friends with a lot of people in the community, the urban exploring community. Sometimes we'll communicate with other people on locations. Certain places, I remember we went to Cleveland East, and I think it was Urbex Dane that I had spoken to, and so locals of the area I'm definitely very keen on working with, and going exploring with them because they know the area best. So who else better to talk to than the people that are actually living there?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Now, does that come from a little bit of competition, wanting to be the first to kind of get the first scoop on a abandoned location? If
no, not really. I've always my philosophy has always been, because most of the places that I've filmed on my channel, pretty much all of them, maybe apart from one or two, I'm way down the list of how many people have done it.
Okay.
My thing is, if I'm going to do it better than someone else, then I'll film it. If not, if there's a proper people, they're the top echelon, they're the gold standard of urban exploring. If they've done something, probably not going to do it, because the location has been archived and documented in the best way possible. so I don't need to do it. That's my sort of thinking. But if I'm at a place that, Joe Schmo has done 5 years ago with an iPhone, and I'm in the place now, I'm thinking, okay, well, I can do it better than them, so I'm gonna present it in my own style and in my own way. But if not, then it's already been documented. That's probably end it there, right?
Gotcha.
Well, to give you a little bit of heads up, I'm from West Virginia in the U.S., and we have a lot of places available for urban exploration.
You sure do. Yep.
We abandon a lot of the stuff that we have, and it is
a lot of coal mining towns down there.
A lot of coal mining towns, a lot of towns that are like ghost towns, just because you know how the corporations, and especially the coal-centered corporations, how within years and sometimes months, how they went from booming to nothing. And so there are a lot of locations in West Virginia for sure. Yeah.
I've spent a lot of time in West Virginia. It's a great place. I love the mountains. I love driving through them. It's a nice area to be in.
Nice. What parts of West Virginia have you been to? Do you remember any of the names of the areas?
See, well, your geography may be poor in Canada. My geography on that area of the East Coast, for some reason, is not that great. Everything sort of mixes together from South Carolina, all the way to Virginia. It's like it all just blends together for me.
Fair enough.
But I've definitely stayed in the cities going down to Florida, which I've driven to Florida too many times.
Yeah, nice. That's cool though.
So going on with our joiner questions, technically this guy's not a joiner, seeing as he's one of our co-hosts, but since he's not on the show this evening,
he's a joiner today.
Yeah, he is an honorary joiner today.
Hi, Patrick.
Mr. Hollywood Bones, aka Patrick Novosel. He actually has a couple questions for you. So first of all, what is something you would love to film? Like, what's your dream pick for a place to film?
Boy.
Or maybe a dream project, something that you haven't yet tackled.
Chernobyl.
Well, if it was a year ago, I would have said that place, but
yeah,
but been there, done that now. I know this is a lame answer, especially for people who know me from the channel, but I'm going to go ahead and say Disney's Discovery Island. That's probably the one place that I would love to get onto and actually film. That'll never happen.
Oh, yeah.
But, a man can dream.
They recently had was it like a manhunt or something over there?
Yeah, there was some guy had tried to camp on there for a week or something, and I don't know what happened. He had lit a bonfire in the middle of it and gave away his position. So, thus a Orange County manhunt began with like helicopters and people in the. It was insane. It's quite the Florida man experience, really.
Mm-hmm. Now, just real quick, what is, if you could give like a summary? What is Discovery Island? Like, what is that? All
right, so we have Walt Disney World. There's a huge lake in the middle of it, and on that lake there's a tiny island called Discovery Island. It, if anyone knows Animal Kingdom, the theme park in Orlando, before that, there was a zoological island called Discovery Island, and it closed in 1999, I believe, and ever since it's been abandoned. It's this literal abandoned zoological park smack dab in the middle of Walt Disney World, and not too many people know about it, and it's quite fascinating because it's literally frozen in time, an actual Disney attraction that's frozen in time. Fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. I was trying to think if they were doing construction on that, but I think I'm thinking of River Country.
River Country, that's right. They actually demolished that for a hotel that's also probably canceled at this point. So
yeah, yeah. Disney has lots of things that they've had to cancel.
Indeed. When you have like 40,000 acres, what are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly. And so the other question that he asks is how has the pandemic affected things on your end in terms of Bright Sun Films? Are you still able to visit places and do what you need to?
Well, that's sort of the big issue right now. Initially, it wasn't that big of a problem because my main show abandoned, canceled, bankrupt is all done at home by me anyway. So
Sure.
That wasn't much of a change. And I'm basically indoors the whole time anyway. I work from home. I have my own home office, so that's not changed much. However, the exploration stuff is because I can't travel to the United States. So, stuck in Canada for the year.
Mm.
I love my country, but not particularly exciting when it comes to urban exploring.
Right.
So, haven't been traveling to the States since, which is a bit of a bummer. Doesn't look like I will be anytime soon, but yeah, so I definitely won't be able to film any places in the United States for a while, which definitely hinders my ability to sort of produce the urban exploring stuff. So yeah, it's definitely not too great on that front. So I think probably that's the biggest hit I've taken, which I guess is fortunate,
Yeah.
considering the very, very unfortunate past that brought a lot of other people in the country.
Yeah, I'm glad you can still do your thing and do your job. Yeah, here in Virginia where I live, I work in a car dealership in the service department, and they are considered essential. So work has not stopped for us. So which is a blessing, because I know there are a lot of people who can't work, out of work. So I mean, I'm certainly thankful for that. So I'm glad that you can at least keep going for the most part. Yeah.
No, I'm very much fortunate, very privileged to be in the position I am. That's for sure.
Awesome. What would you say has been your best experience while working on a particular project?
Best experience.
Just maybe a fun memory or something like that.
I think contractually at this point, I have to say that doing the documentary was probably the craziest, largest sort of thing I've ever tackled. It was a ton of work and a ton of like crazy stuff that I never thought I'd be doing. So I think just overall the things that documentary has brought me, and the stuff I've done and the people I've met and all that, I think that's definitely the coolest and greatest experience, honestly, of my life probably so far. It's quite the adventure I went on with that. But I've done just doing these topics and interviewing people and talking to people, about them. It's you learn so much about people and different aspects of life. It's just fascinating. I really doing the show and covering these types of topics, you explore so many different areas of industry and areas and places. It's just, it's fascinating. Like I got to interview Bruce Narenberg, that aforementioned Premier Cruise Lines Corporation that long gone. It's just fascinating. You're talking to a CEO of a company who was so transformative in an industry that was defunct back in the 90s. It's just, what a crazy,
yeah, and the fact that he was willing to actually talk to you about it. And most people don't want to go back to their failures usually.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Well, you can't even call it a failure of his, because he I'm sure made lots of money and created a whole, I don't know how to say it, genre of an industry, right?
Yeah.
So he was very much an impressive guy, and he's done so much. And the fact that he was able to take his time and talk to me about, something that he did in his past for a YouTube video, it's just insane.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Jake,
go ahead.
Just real quick, in looking at the opposite side, you're talking about the exciting, but that in looking at a bunch of abandoned places, failures, have there ever been any sites that you've gone to where you really thought it was going to be incredible, and maybe you got there and it was like, you almost had to, maybe have you ever been tempted to do like a Bear Grylls and to make like something really more exciting than it actually is?
Yeah, the most recent thing I can think of is I did a video 2 or 3 years ago in 2017, whatever that was, in 2017 for Hurricane Irma, which was a huge hurricane coming through, I bunkered down in Central Florida for it. It's an exciting, action-packed video of, crazy winds and all that. It was a crazy experience. So last year, Hurricane Dorian was coming through, Category 5 out in the Caribbean. Exciting. This is going to be action-packed, more stronger winds. We got a huge storm coming towards us. This is going to be insane. I'm documenting the whole thing. Yeah. Skirts across the side of Florida. Not much action. And so yeah, the video did not turn out exactly the way I wanted it to. Not exactly the action-packed hurricane drama that I was expecting. So
they were some pretty heavy rains, though.
Well, we got rain.
Yeah.
Yeah. That doesn't quite translate to camera. It's like,
it doesn't.
ooh,
No, it
large
wasn't
droplets.
the action-packed drama that I was hoping for. But again, probably for the best.
So how tempted were you to buy a
Florida? But
were you tempted to buy a wind machine? Tempted to buy a wind machine and manufacture some hurricane?
Yeah, we should have just bought one of those industrial wind turbines right next to our hotel and just turned it on and slammed it for us. But yeah.
Now, I absolutely love like when you actually can go back and update about, things that you've talked about, places you've talked about, and go back. And this is what has happened since. Obviously, a place that's near and dear to my heart, especially when I was a kid, was Toys R Us. And obviously, you recently did a bankrupt, I think, was on Toys R Us, and then you did an update on it in 2020.
Yep.
To where now, who knows where that's going to go at this point? Because obviously, with COVID and all that. But it looked like they were kind of trying to rise from the ashes.
Just opened 2 new stores in 2 luxury malls. I haven't actually been keeping up with them. I don't know if they're still open or not after COVID had started, because at the time I think I did it in March, and COVID had just started picking up. But they can't be doing well, I would imagine. I don't know.
Probably not.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. But just going through some of the other videos you've done, the American Dream Mall.
Yeah.
That to me was insane.
Yeah.
Just how much money and time and just years and years of that basically being in construction and development hell.
You have this enormous mall. $5 billion. You really can't wrap your head around that. $5 billion.
Yep.
I mean, you look at other mega projects in the Golden Gate Bridge or, stadiums across America, a couple $100 million. We're talking $5 billion for a super mall that still isn't open. That started construction in the early 2000s. It's just an insane.
Yeah, it's like
story.
They started it and it looks dated, so now we've got to update it. Now we can only open a portion of it. And like, oh my gosh.
And if you like that video, I have a new video coming out this Friday, in fact, on another New Jersey mega project. I don't know if you'd call it that, but an Atlantic City property that went through a very similar construction hell and sort of this. Lots of money being thrown at it, and who knows where it's going,
Insane. Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
I guess I'm curious to know, because you kind of touched on this, because you talked about some archived, past YouTube videos or things that you don't want to really see the light of day anymore, because it was the early stuff. But what was like your first experience with urbex, urban exploring, urban exploration? What really can you describe for us the moment when you just turned the corner and it really became a passion for you?
All right, yeah. So 2 different times. So first, I was in Watkins Glen, New York, camping on the Finger Lakes, and a very old camping facility. It's a national park, I believe. Down through these pathways, there's this little shack. Very much abandoned, forgotten part of the campground, probably part of the old, era of the facility, made of stone and all that. To me, I was probably 9 or 10 at the time. Fascinating. Loved it. It's so cool. You have this abandoned building that's trees are growing around it, and it's covered in foliage. Just such a cool idea to me. It's like something that was built so long ago, and it's sort of just being reclaimed by nature. What an aesthetic! What a sight to behold. I thought that was so cool. Now, when you fast forward to probably about 2009 or 2010, I was watching Adam the Woo, his video on River Country, and at the time, just got my first computer. And I was, or maybe not even that. I think I was going through my parents' computer or something, and found this River Country thing, Disney's River Country, this abandoned theme park right in the middle of Walt Disney World. I've been to the parks many a times as a kid, and seeing this, I was like fascinated by this. This is insane. So I did my research on it, and there wasn't really anything else online that sort of went through the comprehensive history of the water park, so I took it upon myself, and that's sort of how everything was born. That's where my interest sort of accumulated into where we are today, with the psychotic, weird passion, morbid passion I have with this topic.
But you're not the only one, and that's the great part of it.
Yeah, it's quite a large niche, it turns out.
Yeah. And it's always interesting in your videos where like you've got the juxtaposition of what when you pull the old footage of like what did this look like in its heyday? Yeah. How did it function? How popular of a place was it? And then all of a sudden you just switch to what it is now, and just how much it has fallen by the wayside and just been lost to time.
It's a stark contrast. It really is, and it is a interesting visual aspect too, to see something that had, and that's where the nostalgia factor kind of comes in too, where you see something that's in its pristine, its best state. It's where everyone remembers it, and then you see it today. This stark contrast to where it is today. In most places, it's quite a difference, and it's to a lot of people who see it, they see it as a sad thing. They really, it's sort of like this depressing thing. To me, I find it fascinating. It's sort of like this place that's been stuck in time, but only in the sense that it's sort of been forgotten by everyone.
Yeah,
it's it's very interesting to me. I know I've said that a lot, but it is.
Hey, it's fascinating. You love what you love.
I love... there we go. I love what I love.
So just one more question for you from our Twitter. Actually, Uncharted Travel on Twitter. They asked, "Is Jake Williams my dad?"
I'll speak directly to Uncharted Travel. Mr. Brennan Evangelista, who runs that YouTube channel. Brennan, no, I'm not. I'm not your dad. Leave me alone, Brennan. Good.
Stop it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've pretty much run the gamut here of just going the ins and outs of your YouTube channel. Jake, where can people find you? And go ahead. This is your moment to plug anything and everything. So go right ahead.
Well, I mean, if you want to find me, just search up Brightson Films literally anywhere. You'll find it. Or if you're extremely lazy, just go to YouTube and type in Abandoned, and I'm sure I'm the top 2 search results, so you'll be fine there.
There you go.
Yeah.
And obviously, we'll be looking out for Closed for Storm, the big old documentary you're doing.
Yeah,
can't wait for that to come out.
Yeah.
Yep.
That'll be really good and very compelling. I did want to ask, maybe as a final question, what are your next steps for maybe Bright Sun Films, but even bigger, just for you? Maybe you're living the dream and you're like, I could just explore every abandoned structure in the United States or world, maybe to go beyond the United States. What are some of the next steps you've been envisioning, looking ahead of how to develop what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think Closed for Storm is the stepping stone, perhaps, into something a little bigger for myself and maybe even the company. But I'm very privileged, and I'm very happy with where I am right now. I really do love doing what I do. Who knows how long that'll last? I like to think that because my content is rather very easy to digest and everyone loves to learn stuff, hopefully that means I'll be around for a little longer than some vloggers, but who knows? But like I said, I think Closer Storm hopefully is the first point in a much long roster of films that I'd love to produce over the next 10 to 20 years. Definitely have an idea for the next documentary I want to do, and if all goes well with Closer Storm, who knows? Maybe I'll be back in production within a year or so. So we'll see. Yeah, but I'm very optimistic for the future. I'm very excited. We're just getting started.
Yeah, man, for sure. And we'll be watching with you, and definitely be looking forward to see how things develop in that area of your life. So
sounds good.
Fantastic. Yeah. All right. Well, that's all we have for this time of urban spelunking with Jake Williams. It has been a pleasure. If you would like to connect with us as a podcast, the Good Morning Guys, beyond listening, as I mentioned at the top of the show, follow and chat with us on Twitter at the GMG Podcast or Discord. Our links in the Twitter profile or in our show notes. We also do old school email, thegoodmorningguys@gmail.com. And if you want to give us a call at 929-GMG-GUYS to leave a message, ask a question, or simply let your voice be heard, we would welcome it. It would be fantastic to hear your beautiful voice or your ugly voice. We won't judge. It'll be all right either way. Speaking of what should be heard, Mark, do you have any song additions to add to the GMG Music playlist that any and all can hear on Spotify and Apple Music?
GMG Music Playlist.
Yeah, I do happen to have some additions this week to the GMG Music playlist, of course. So first off, basically I went with the theme of the name of your YouTube channel, Jake, being Bright Sun Films. I tried to pick a couple of songs with bright or sun in the title.
Okay.
This is
Nice.
usually how I go with things. I try to go and we'll get to your choice as I offer with every guest, and it doesn't have to have sun or bright in it, but this is the
That
way
would
that
narrow it down a bit, I'll be honest, but okay, good.
I try to not limit people to that. It's a standard I set for myself. But of course, so the first pick is the Beatles' "I'll Follow the Sun."
Okay.
And the second pick is Switchfoot's "Burnout Bright." So
Cool.
Jake, as I asked you before we started recording, you have your choice of a song to add to the GMG morning playlist. What is your choice, good sir?
Yeah, okay, so just out of curiosity, not
Yeah.
saying I'll do it, but are there restrictions on the genre? Can I add, like, a film score or something?
I don't think we've done that before, but yeah, I think we can. Let's go ahead and do it.
No, I won't even do that. I'm gonna do the last song I recently added to my Apple Music. I'm gonna go with "Dancing in the Moonlight" by Top Loader. Classic song.
There you go.
Nice. Still got brightness going. Moonlight's bright.
Yeah,
and it's
I like
just
it's moonlight, but
it's the reflection of the sun, though.
celestial.
So
Yeah.
it's still sun.
it's true.
Yep. That's a fantastic choice.
That's a good pick.
Mark faked me out earlier when he said the Beatles. I thought he was going to say "Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds."
No.
Oh, that would have been a good one too.
That would have been like an indirect Bright Sun connection.
Yeah, I'm a little more on the nose than that.
Yeah, I guess. Got to be all literal.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Besides our weekly GMG music playlist, we also have a weekly GMG video game top 100 that we're contributing to, building up to episode 125, where we're going to have a very thorough and scientific voting to plan out or kind of unveil our top 100 video games of all time, the official GMG list. We have a contribution from myself, from Patrick, from Mark. Jake, you're going to be representing Ronnie tonight and be contributing a game. So just so you know, Halo 3's already been mentioned. So Mark mentioned that one last week. So
that was one of my picks.
Yep. And so I'll give you a second to kind of think of that, because I don't think I warned you ahead of time. Surprise. But Patrick wanted to contribute Knights of the Old Republic, the old Star Wars Xbox game that I definitely loved as well, and we've talked about on the show a few times. I picked Dragon Age Inquisition, a newer RPG by, ironically, the same company, BioWare, same publisher. No, publisher? Developer, yeah. BioWare. So Dragon Age Inquisition, I just played that last year, I think. Yeah, last year. I played it a few years late, but man, it was a fun game. I really enjoyed that RPG. Mark, how about you, buddy? What is your contribution this week?
My contribution is Super Mario Odyssey, which is basically a huge love note to all of the fans of Mario. There's basically, it's fan service in the best way possible.
It's basically the best Mario.
Game. Yes, it is basically the combination of all of them.
Yep.
And that makes it one of the best. So yeah, Super Mario Odyssey.
Nice. All right, Jake. We'll give you lots of time.
I have two very different genres of games, but I'm very conflicted on which one I should go with. I'm either obviously Halo Reach, right?
Yep.
Or Planet Coaster.
Interesting.
Have either of you guys heard about that game?
I don't even know what that means.
Is that kind of like a roller coaster tycoon kind of thing?
Yeah, it's from the developers of the original Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, and they went off from Atari and they built their own roller coaster builder called Planet Coaster that came out 2 or 3 years ago, and it's fantastic. It's phenomenal.
I'm liking this Planet Coaster idea.
It is wonderful.
Halo Reach seems a little too... Well, I mean, we got Halo 3, and we don't want to go too mainstream. Like last week, we were given the suggestion of Lollipop Chainsaw, which is added to our list.
I haven't heard that name in a while.
No, we hadn't either. But again, Ronnie had given his pick to a guest, so yeah, that's part of the fun. So I personally say go with Planet Coaster.
Let's do Planet Coaster.
Which, when you said that, I initially thought of planet-sized coffee cups on a coaster. And I was like, how does this work? Is this like Downton Abbey, like connection, like the tea time kind of thing? I was totally in a different place.
Very weird connection.
Very weird. That's how my brain works. Giving you a peek behind the curtain.
For some reason, I went to Pizza Planet from Toy Story.
Oh, that's another good one. Yeah, Pizza Planet would have been. I'd play a Pizza Planet simulator. That would be fun.
I can't believe neither of you heard about this either.
No, Planet Coaster. I've heard of Roller Coaster Tycoon, but again, what is Planet Coaster's on PC? I take it.
Yeah, they just announced a console version and a Mac version.
Whoa!
Look out!
Yeah, look out, guys.
That would be why I'm not a master race guy.
It's a great film or a great game.
Great film. They'll probably make a film about it if it gets popular enough. I'll
watch it.
Planet Coaster the movie. That would be fantastic. I'd give that a whirl. Yeah, but I mainly play PlayStation, so if it comes to PC, it needs to come to PlayStation before I even know what's going on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Arguably a much superior console, but won't say it.
Yep.
Oh. Yeah. It's me. That's it. All right.
Yep,
we gave all the video games. We've contributed the next 4. We'll just keep building that list, and I look forward to see how all the chips fall when we get to episode 125 and put them out in order. Put them all in order. Yeah. So let me find out here where I am. I lost my place in my notes. Next week, it will be randomness, where the 4 hosts, Lord willing, we'll all be together for the first time in a couple weeks, and we will each bring a topic, and it should be a good time. So, yeah.
It should be.
Yeah, it should be. We'll see. Some people have to shake the rust off if they've forgotten how to podcast. Alrighty then, Mark and Jake, along with you, our beloved friends, family, and joiners, go get your good morning this week, and may God bless and guide your lives as you live, as you work, and as you spelunk through your local abandoned mall and game.
Watch your step.
1, 2, 3, 4.